For all their incredible achievements, the Apollo missions operated a lot like brief camping trips. Astronauts touched down in the relatively flat, accessible regions near the lunar equator, worked for a few days out of their landers, and packed up. The Artemis program pursues a different objective. We are going back to the moon to stay. Setting up a permanent foothold means leaving behind the smooth, sunlit plains of the equator. To stay long-term, we have to extract local resources. That requirement pushes our landing zones into the most hostile environments the moon has to offer. This topographic map shows our target, the lunar South Pole. We're heading for deep craters like Shackleton and Shoemaker because they hold frozen water. Since the sun sits low, these bottoms never see sunlight. Permanently shadowed regions where temperatures plunge to -173 degrees. Then there is the surface itself. Lunar regolith is not like sand on Earth. It is composed of ground-up rock shards from billions of years of meteor impacts. It is highly abrasive, holds a strong electrostatic charge, and clings to every piece of hardware it touches. Landing a traditional habitat in the middle of that environment would result in immediate hardware failure. Surviving the South Pole requires a highly structured three-phase blueprint, leaning heavily on commercial partnerships and entirely new concepts for off-world infrastructure. Phase 1 starts with an uncrewed vanguard. Commercial payload services will touch down first, carrying small-scale technology demonstrations. Right away, autonomous robots will deploy to manage that dangerous regolith. Vehicles with rotating scoop mechanisms will grade the terrain, compact the soil, and clear safe, stable landing zones. These machines will take on the heavy lifting. They will unload early cargo and deploy specialized drills to prospect for the exact locations of subsurface ice. Delegating the excavation and site preparation to autonomous systems is a non-negotiable prerequisite. It buys down the physical risk before human crews even launch. Phase 2 introduces semi-annual human crews, and they face an immediate crisis, surviving the prolonged lunar night. Looking at this chart, you can see how standard solar power completely drops off during the dark cycle. To keep critical hardware from freezing, the base relies on radioisotope thermal generators, which provide a steady, continuous output of heat and electricity regardless of sunlight. Here, NASA discards an older engineering philosophy. The agency is abandoning the Apollo-era reliance on self-sufficient landers. This schematic outlines the new approach. Power generation, communications, and logistics are being decoupled and integrated into a shared, scalable utility grid on the surface. Instead of every lander bringing its own power and life support, vehicles will arrive and plug directly into this pre-existing network. That shared grid turns a vulnerable outpost into a robust foundation for expansion. This bar chart tracks the scale of incoming cargo. With the site prepared and the grid active, Phase 3 enables payload deliveries to jump from thousands of kilograms up to 150,000 kilograms per mission. That massive increase in supply capacity allows for continuous year-round human habitation. Keeping a crew alive indefinitely requires heavy structural protection from radiation and micrometeorites. Instead of flying heavy metal structures from Earth, commercial partners plan to use 3D printing technology right on the surface. They will collect that abrasive regolith and use it as the primary building material, printing thick, insulated walls around the crew habitats. By Phase 3, the darkest, most hostile craters on the moon have been engineered into a sprawling, commercially active off-world settlement. The moon base will operate as a coalition, combining the resources of global space agencies and private enterprise. By contracting commercial partners to build out the grid and handle logistics, NASA diffuses the astronomical financial costs across multiple markets, driving rapid innovation. Every challenge we face at the lunar South Pole, the abrasive dust, the extreme temperature swings, and shared utility grids, mirrors the exact obstacles waiting for us on Mars. Mastering the lunar environment builds the mandatory technological proving ground to send human crews to the Red Planet.